Hello, everybody. Baltimore is in the books. Only sixth con of the year. Like I said, I was not expecting to do that many cons this year. We only went on Friday, and then I went on Saturday. So, but got everything. I got everything put away. Well, not put away, but I mean, I got all my books I got signed, such as this one here. What I do is I write on the back on a sticky note who did the inks, put it right there. That way if there's any question about whose signature was, I've got that. So that goes on the backer board, and then book goes in. So I'm going to start off with here. This is the Justice League of America. This was one of the very first comic books I ever bought that were superhero based. Up until this point, all the books I got were either G.I. Joe or Star Wars. So this is actually a significant book for me to have signed. So to have Brett sign it was a big deal for me. Let's see, we'll just put them right there. Now, before I go through all the books, one of the first things one of the first people I saw was Shane. We were walking down the aisle because we're heading to Billy, and I see Shane standing outside of his booth. And I see him, and as I'm walking up to him, I go, that is called slapping your dick on the table for everybody to see. Because their presentation was just hands down above everybody else's. I mean, I was very impressed with both Shane and John with their table setup. Okay, I told both of them how I was so glad to see them here in Baltimore, and with everything that they went through with Chicago. And like I said when they first got kicked out, was you take a look at it, it's part Comic-Con, part celebrity petting zoo. Okay, at Baltimore there was a total of like 4 celebrity guests, maybe 5 celebrity guests along the end of the building. Everything else there, comics. And the thing is, on both Saturday and Friday, when we walked by where the celebrities were, crickets. Nobody was there. Okay? When you go to a Comic-Con like Baltimore, you're going because you're going to see the comic book fans. And pretty much in a nutshell, that's what I told him. I even said to him, I said, look, with Chicago, they came gunning for you. By being at Baltimore first and making such a dominant statement and not having any problems, basically, they took all the bullets out of the gun for Chicago. That way, it gives them leverage against Chicago. It's like, hey, no. We're abiding by the rules. We don't cause any trouble when we're at these cons. We should be there. We belong to be there with all the others. So, but when I saw Shane, one of the first things I had signed was, you guys are if you watch my other videos, you remember when I took part in the art contest a year and a half ago? Well, I pulled this out to show it to Shane. And when I pulled it out, I looked at it, I'm like, you know what? I can do more work on this. So I pulled it out for him to see, and he was like, did you turn this in for the art contest? I'm like, yeah. And he goes, I don't remember it. He goes, contact Yanzi. If you didn't turn that in, if we didn't judge it, you can enter it for the one that they have going on right now. So, but really, the big thing was not just showing it to Shane. And you see we've got Razor here, 232 here. We got a Rex that's fallen here, and then we've got all the Vial is right here. Shane signed it for me. So this is a big deal for me, is having my own fan piece signed by the creator of the character. So that was a big deal for me. So, but then other books they had signed over the course of the 2 days had Carl Kessel sign this issue of Harley Quinn. Remember, Carl Kessel wrote the original series when she first debuted with her own book. And I like this one particularly because it focused on all of the sidekicks. She recruited all of Mr. J's henchmen to be her own personal henchmen. So I found that to be a very humorous book, and I wanted him to sign it. Robert Venditti, okay? right here. He did the series. With having him sign this, one of the things I made certain that I told him about was that he really gave some leeway to Dave Sharp, the letterer, to really be able to sing. Dave Sharp is one of the best in the industry. I wish that more writers and, more importantly, more artists gave him the room so he could creatively flex. Because remember, one of the things that makes Walt Simonson's artwork so powerful is he gives John Workman the flex to really sing, to really put in those sound effects, to really have that dynamic feel to what's going on. Dave Sharp is there. If he was given the space to do that, he would do the same thing. Another Karl Kesel book was this one here. I like this Superboy book back in the day because it's when they first were discovering hypertime or hyper, was it? Yeah, hypertension is basically when they first came up with the idea of pocket universes or hypertime with pockets. And here he was bouncing from reality to reality with all the different versions of Superboy. And I kind of like that. I thought it was really cool. And what was also reason being is because in this arc, when Kesel and Grummett were doing the book, Grummett was really putting a Kirby feel to his work. So that was the other reason why. Everybody knows how much I like the Tangent Universe. So again, Karl Kesel, I had this one, Joker's Wild. Didn't have it in the signed collection, so got it signed now. Two others. Amalgamation, when Marvel and DC came together. Karl Kesel wrote both of these. So I've got the X-Patrol and I've got Spider-Boy. So yes, I did get quite a bit signed by Karl Kesel. I don't see him all that often, so I took advantage of it. And that's the reason why he's showing up so much, because I've been wanting to see him for a good maybe like 4 years, maybe 5. Last time him and Tom Grummett were at the Baltimore together is when they came out with their Section Zero graphic novel. They just finished on Kickstarter. I wanted to make sure, so I got that book, and then I signed some stuff. So I've been looking forward to seeing Karl since then. So now this next book is significant. Okay, Alex Savac, he's the one who did the artwork for this. Okay, now what makes this significant to me is the very first Spider-Man book that I bought was the one where he's been hurt by the Puma, and he goes back to his apartment, and Mary Jane reveals that she's known that he's been Spider-Man all along. And then 2 issues after that is basically an entire issue of Mary Jane giving Spider-Man her entire life history or life story, and revealing to him all of her deep, dark secrets. Basically proving like, hey, you can trust me with your secret identity because I'm telling you stuff that I've never told anybody. Well, part of those secrets was her past, involved the fact that she has a sister and who lives in Pittsburgh. This story concludes that 2-part issue where she goes back to Pittsburgh, discovers that her sister is in big trouble because of being set up by her father, and discovers that she's got a niece and a nephew, and that she's an aunt. At the end of this issue, she agrees to marry Spider-Man. And so for me, that whole first issue of Spider-Man that I bought, the one where he's fighting Puma, and she reveals that I know you're Spider-Man, that whole thing came full circle with her agreeing to marry Spider-Man. So that was the reason why I really wanted him to sign this one. Oh, this is also him doing this one. He did as a favor for the Spider-Man editor. And actually, in many ways, ended up being his debut and what landed him his gig doing the Web of Spider-Man book for quite a while. The Avengers. The reason why I was excited to get this one signed by Mark Morales is it has a Sinister Squadron. They're called the Squadron Supreme, but really there's a Sinister Squadron. The Squadron Supreme for me is the version that Bob Hall did started the series. Paul Ryan ended it. That was the real Squadron Supreme to me. This version where you've got these 4 characters. Actually, it should be 5 characters. Let's see. 1, 2. Okay, they're missing Dr. Spectrum. But this version, including Dr. Spectrum, that's really all that. Really, what it is, it's the Squadron Sinister, just relabeled, remarketed, repackaged. I've had the others signed, and the reason why I wanted Mark to sign this one was this is the one where he said when he was the one image he really liked that was a shocker for the series was when Sentry just rips Ares in half. And so he said that was a lot of fun doing that. So that was the reason. So finally had him sign it. So yay. So again, like I said, Squadron Supreme. This was my favorite version of the team, and this is one of my favorite runs. I mean, DP7 and Squadron Supreme, I've always kept them separate from the rest of my collection because I go through them so much. So having this one signed by Bob Hall really means a lot to me. X-Men Prime. This was the first X-Men book right after the Age of Apocalypse. And what was neat about this one was Fabian, he signed it, but this is one of, let me actually, I won't take this one out so you can see it. So we've got the X-Men cover. Remember, this is a clear through coat. And then, so what I did is I intentionally, I wanted Fabian, because Fabian originally was going to sign on this. And he goes, yeah, that sticks. And I go, no, I wanted him to sign it right there so that way it overlays over top of it. And then this upcoming month, I'm going to see Mark McKenna. And he did work on it, so I'm probably going to have Mark McKenna. Probably have Mark sign right across the bottom. That way, same thing. So, yeah. Okay. We only have a few more to go. I intentionally did not pick a lot of books to have you to go through. Deep Sea, Jimmy Palmiotti wrote it, and I thought and this is one of my favorite stories they did. Would have liked to have seen more, but but I got it signed. Defenders of the Earth by Jim Calafiore. I talked to him about why he had a revolver for the Phantom Stranger, because I know other people were making comments on it on social media when it was posted. He said that was a personal choice, but he also revealed that was the reason why he didn't put stripes on the trunks is because it was based off the cartoon and not off of the strip. As it's revealed at the end of this issue, there's another Phantom Stranger who is using the 45s. So in some ways, it's one of those where it's like, this one, is he the imposter? Is the other one the real thing? He says it's part of creative choice, but as it's Dan DiDio revealed when he was on with Billy Tucci, is that there's going to be, I think it's in issue 3, the Phantom has to go up against the Court of Phantoms, which is, remember, he's Phantom 27, so he has to go through, because of Mandrake, he goes into a room where all 1 through 26 of the Phantoms are there, and I guess they're to judge him. So, so him saying that, it's creative choice, it may be something where that's intentional to be paid off at the end of the series. Of course, Firefly, and had to get Carl Story to sign this issue. I got to take a look. I don't know if I have all the issues from this series. This was like the last real Serenity series that was done by Dark Horse. After this was done, it was picked up by Boom, and what Boom produced was a piece of shit. So the last real good Serenity story is right here, folks. Tomei, created by Billy Tucci. And we can see here that not only has Billy Tucci signed it, but pencils are by Amanda Conner and the inks are Jimmy Palmiotti. This is one of their earliest pieces of work. So this was one of my goals, was definitely to have these two, actually all three of them, sign this issue. But not just sign this issue, but have them all sign at the same show. So mission accomplished. Now I have the original 6-issue series. I think there's another 5 or 6 issue series before this one, and then there's this one. This is called The Wrong Earth. Essentially, think of it as Batman 66 meets the modern day dark and more violent Batman, and that's essentially what they're doing with this one. It's called the hero is called Dragonfly. And you've got Dragonfly is basically from, like, I guess, Batman 66 era, who's like all like, oh, hold on, we gotta stop. It doesn't matter that we're in the middle of a car chase. We need to stop and look both ways before we cross the street. You know, it's all campy and cheesy, where he's all like I'm gonna run over I'm gonna do what I have to do. I got his vehicle's called a battle wagon. He's much more violent. He's willing to do whatever it takes to get the bad guys taken down, where he's like, no, we gotta abide by the law, and we gotta do this, and we gotta do this. So it's an entertaining story. Jamal Igel's doing the artwork, and I'll tell you, I've not been disappointed by Jamal Igel's artwork in this whole series. So this was definitely something I would advise everybody to check out. Okay, had the opportunity to get another signature in this one. Okay, already got Fraga, Panozin, and Marat Michaels have all signed this book. So had the opportunity to add Carl Kessel to it with his doing inks from the one page. In fact, even when he saw it, he goes, did I? He goes, and he saw the book, and his first response was, I didn't do it. Oh, that's right, I did do one page in that. So he's been added to the collection. Classic Star Wars. As I said at the very beginning of this video, Star Wars and G.I. Joe were the first books I ever got. Okay, I was getting them on a regular basis off the spinner racks, as you can see. Definitely a spinner rack book. And it wasn't until that Justice League, one of those Justice League books, when I started picking that up and started getting Heroes books. Otherwise, probably would have been only doing Star Wars and G.I. Joe. So Roy Richardson got him. He wrote the book. He was there with June, his wife, and he signed it. What was neat about this is he told me the story about how he had a specific idea of how he wanted to color, and he wasn't allowed to color it because they had a staff colorist. So he went, and because Louise was the editor, he went to Louise and he goes, can I go speak to the colorist? And she was like, yeah, sure, go right ahead. And because he goes, I've got some ideas of how I want the cover to look. And she's like, you can go ahead. You go ahead. So he goes to the colorist's office, and here he's got like 4 different colors already, photocopies. He's mocked up with Doc Martin dyes. He's got them up, and he's just standing there, and he's just sitting there, he's looking. And Roy goes, I want it in green. I thought it'd be really good if it was in green. And the guy's like, Stan hates green. Last time I did a cover that was green, Stan shot it down. He really, really hates green. I've never done green since then. And so Roy goes, well, Stan's out in L.A. and Louise gave me the permission to give you my 2 cents. And so the guy went with it, and he did it in color. He did it in green. And as Roy says, when he went in the comic book store to see this book, he goes, no other book on the shelf was green, and the book popped off the shelf. Me personally, I said to him, I said, well, I looked at it as being synonymous with the Star Wars Return of the Jedi had ended, And this having the green, what was debuted in Return of the Jedi? Luke's green lightsaber. And I remember everybody being, oh my God, he's got a green lightsaber. And that was a big deal. So I looked at it that way, where it's like, because Luke had debuted his new lightsaber and that was all the rage, it made sense to have green color. So, but he looked at it and goes, yeah, that made a lot of sense too. So, so yeah, classic Star Wars. If I ever have the opportunity to get a signature on one of these bad boys, I'm going to take it. And then also, Roy and June did this one with Louise. And they were telling me how they originally, when they did it, now the Godel, the one guy from the cantina, the goat that has the goat horns, he wasn't supposed to be originally supposed to be the main bad guy. It was supposed to be Boba Fett. Lucasfilms was like, we don't want Boba Fett. He's done for. He's not coming back because of the Sarlacc pit, and they really didn't want to use him, even though they really didn't want to use Boba Fett too much. And so they had to scramble, not just Louise, but also Roy and June, as to who their bad guy was going to be. So like, they pretty much had to go through the Star Wars, at the time, the Star Wars creature guide or character guide that had been produced by Del Rey, and they then picked out that character. One of the things they said, how like this, what makes this book one of those hell books to work on, is they have to get approval for everything, for how every single stormtrooper looks, every single spaceship. And he was saying, like, it sounded like what they bought is they actually went and bought the micro machines and had those to look at as models. And I said, yeah. I told him how I'd done the same thing when I was doing an assignment at school. How I bought the whole set of micro machines, and I was like, I would take the micro machine, figure out what exactly the right angle was, and then I'd push it into an old kneaded eraser and use the kneaded eraser as the stand, because it was malleable. I could put the micro machine in at any angle I wanted, and then basically just hold it there and just look at it and draw it. And apparently, even though it was a little model that was approved by Lucasfilm to be made, when they use it as reference, they'd send the pages in, and then the pages get sent back on, you gotta make this correction, this correction. So it's like, I'll tell you something. When you hear people talk about how licensed material is such a bitch to draw, they ain't lying. They ain't lying. And then the last thing, second to last thing. No, not second. Got two more things after this. Bounty Hunters, issue number 1. But yes, I know it's the Marvel. But I had the opportunity. I didn't get a whole bunch of these. Where it failed for me was the artwork. I thought the artwork sucked. But every once in a while, the cover would be just good enough that I'd be like, let's give it a shot. And story-wise was okay, but what always failed me with this series was always the artwork. But hey, had the opportunity to get it signed, go and take it. Now, got 2 things left. First was, now with this, okay, one of the stores in our area closed. I think it was last year. It closed, and they had a going out business sale. And I went, and they had everything was 50% off. So I saw it, didn't spend a whole lot of money. So when I was at the cash register, and he goes, it's X amount of dollars. I go, getting one more thing, I'll be right back. Ran back, grabbed this, brought it up. It's in beat up shape, but you know what? In some ways, sometimes when you get books this old, you almost want it to be in a beat up You want to see some damage on it. So I did. It's got some damage. Instead of paying $50, I paid $25. And this weekend, while I was down in Baltimore, I had Jose sign it. So I've got the big Superman, Wonder Woman, big book, kind of same size as the Treasury editions, So, and the funny thing is I remember when he signed this, he goes, they're re-releasing this. And I said, I know, but I want the original. Well, sure enough, went in the comic book shop today, and guess what they had on the shelf as a new release? This book. So, now, last thing I want to show you guys. Like I said, and anybody who watches my videos, I've been very critical of Malin, and I've said some outright adversarial and aggressive things about him. Yes, I've called him a couple names in the book. Oh, hold on. Sorry about this. No, cat, no. Sorry. Okay, so I went up to Malin and I congratulated him. I said I was glad he was there. And then just before I left on Friday, I went up to him. I said, I know you probably don't like me because I've called you an asshole and a bleep, bleep, bleep. And he was like, why would I like you? And I told him why, because he pulled that purity test stuff about 2 years ago. And I caught him, rubbed me the wrong way and called him out on it and bleep, bleep, bleep back. And he kind of blew it off like, eh. And, okay, he's not showing, he's holding a grudge. He's not going to chew my ass out on the floor. So I asked him if he'd signed something. And remember, this was the first art contest I took part in. And he was very complimentary of the work that was put into this, and most likely seen it as opposed to an image on the screen. But yeah, he was much more. He was very complimentary of it, and he was telling me about there's a Netflix documentary about a certain artist who did pointillism, and how he was ostracized, and how it wasn't for the artistic crowd in out in the West Coast that is one of gave him some work and doing work on Janis Joplin's album or something. But I don't know much about it, so I'm gonna have to do some research. So, but no, and so he signed it for me, and you take a look. That is a really nice signature he did. So again, another piece. Have him sign my work, but having him sign it. I mean, I'm sorry. Thank you, John. Okay. I know I can understand you, John, not wanting to have anything to do with Kickstarter. And I mean this. I want every single creator to succeed. If that means that other creators are going to take part in Kickstarter, I understand you don't want to have anything to do with Kickstarter, but I don't feel that you have the right to bully others into not doing it. So, because everybody's got to find their own path to success. Just one way is not always the right way. But thank you very much. You were a complete gentleman to me at Baltimore, and I reached out, shook your hand, and congratulate you for being out there at Baltimore. And John, I hope that you and Shane make an annual thing out of being at Baltimore. So, guys, I hope you liked this video and me just showing off a few of the things I got signed. Baltimore has always been one of those shows that we enjoy going to every single year. In fact, this last year, Miss Stipley and I went, and Miss Stipley was kind of helped me get some stuff signed. We had 2.5 hours before the show was over, and I just said, wait. I said, let's take the stuff, take it up to the car, and let's just follow you. I just want to follow you around. You go to where you want to go. And we did. We went. I just followed her. She walked around. She we walking around and looking. Oh, what's down this aisle? We'd walk down to a booth that she saw, and then from there we'd go in another direction. Just looked around, saw what all there was there, and Because many times when I'm there, I'm just focused on the map as to go to this table to get this signature, then go to this table to get this signature. So it was nice having her lead and just follow her around. And then, of course, afterwards, having a nice meal before heading home. So, yeah. So, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. Remember, life can be stressful and life is stressful. But remember, it's not when you just take it all one dot at a time.